We should know that right up front. We should see the biases which this administration is bringing to who they decide to bail out.
This is a crisis that we have not seen since 9/11 or World War II. This requires, as you have said and others have said, the Defense Production Act, an emergency act from the president who has not yet triggered it. So there are a lot of issues here. Hospitals, doctors, all crying for materials. For the American people to see this kind of bickering on the floor of the Senate is not going to improve the standing of Capitol Hill or of Congress with the voters.
Look, we have to come together. A pandemic should not have any partisanship that is part of it. But unfortunately, the proposal which we received from the Republicans just a day ago was partisan. What we're looking for is a dramatic increase in the amount of money that goes to hospitals, that goes to nursing homes, that goes to healthcare facilities all across the country. They could collapse. They could go bankrupt, especially the hospitals that are in small cities and towns all across this country. We need a dramatic increase in the amount of money for protective gear, for testing. That money has to be in. We have to have an increase in the unemployment benefits. That was not in. We need guardrails again around this $500 billion that Steve Mnuchin wants, but he doesn't want to disclose where that money is going to be spent. We want to make sure that it has workers' protections in it. We want to make sure that it just isn't a room where the president and Mnuchin just sit there and start handing out hundreds of millions of dollars to corporations, and the whole country has to wait 6 months to find out who they gave it to. If they want to give the money to oil companies, gas companies, coal companies, but not to wind and solar companies, we should know that right up front. We should see the biases which this administration is bringing to who they decide to bail out, and if, in fact, there are going to be real protections for workers as well. So all of this still was not included in the bill that the Republicans brought out on the Senate floor. That's the negotiation that Senator Schumer is in the midst of with Steve Mnuchin right now, and we're not going to stop until we get these questions answered correctly for the American people. We're the legislative first responders. We have to be here in order to provide the resources so that the hospitals, the cities, the towns, everyone can do their job. And so we have to be healthy, and we need to have remote voting in the Senate and to do it now. We shouldn't jeopardize whether or not we can even have a quorum here in the Senate. We should move to remote voting right now.